Okay, so just touching then, you see what's on the screen there for the main ports and airports for the UK. It's pretty, it's kept really quite simple on the UK ports. So for ocean freight, Felixstowe, Southampton, London Gateway being sort of new on the scene over the last sort of 18 months. Liverpool, which tends to serve mainly the American ports rather than the European and the Far East type services. And then Grangemouth and Belfast. Grangemouth and Belfast, relatively small by comparison to Felixstowe. There's some big business comes from Felixstowe, though that is because of some congestion that's come this year. They changed some computer systems this year. I don't know whether you guys have been aware of that in the States, but we had vessels sat queuing to come into the port due to problems with IT issues, really, with the computer system that changed. So it caused us some real problems this year, and I believe it's still really not to an end just yet, though it is softening. There was vessel delays on most things, and the Far East did really suffer on that. So just looking at the UK in general, you tend to get, we mentioned earlier Edinburgh and Glasgow in Scotland. They would move into the Grangemouth area. Northern Ireland is Belfast and Belfast only. And the majority of business in England, so even the business coming from Newcastle and Manchester and Liverpool in the north there, would tend to load at a point. So if I took an example of a typical New York shipment for us, or I'll give you two examples. So a New York we'd receive in our office, in our depot in Bradford. From wherever in the country, we go as far south as really touching onto London. Depends where we are with the trucks. We would then bring that back into our Bradford depot, load. The container would move from our Bradford depot then through to Liverpool for export to the USA. Business going for China tends to move from the southern parts of Southampton and Felixstowe. So regardless where you are in the UK, even from Newcastle, it'd probably come into a depot in Newcastle and then move south to be exported from there. And that's tends to be always been the case, that those are the two major ports for export. So that's where the big vessels go. Felixstowe is a deep port there that handles the big, huge vessels from China. And then for air freight cargo, the main place for most things on there is London Heathrow, and even the services for Birmingham and Manchester, on a lot of occasions they will receive in those areas, but they will truck or they will fly to London Heathrow for a connection flight. And London Heathrow, I'm sure you've seen the news, or if you've travelled through England, it's a huge airport. It's ever growing. They're trying to create this European hub now, so we can take over from the likes of Frankfurt or from Schiphol in Holland. And it's an airport that's growing and growing. So most of the services there on the air freight from England, which is Birmingham, Manchester and Newcastle, would tend to go in some way, or there'd be a large percentage which would go to Heathrow and go from there. There is main services from Manchester into the States, many places in the USA, but there is the biggest, larger planes and the big carriers coming out of Heathrow. Again, Glasgow is a main airport in the same way, would collect whatever comes from the Scottish area or surrounding areas and would come from Glasgow. And Belfast being the same, though I'll be honest, I'm not too sure on the air freight volumes coming out of Belfast, but whatever comes from Northern Ireland would be into that area.